I'm having hot cocoa. I'm drinking hot cocoa while Don is drinking a cappuccino.
Hello everybody and welcome to the third episode of Coffee Talk. Well, last time it was more of a Switch discussion special with my buddy from my YouTube channel. But today it's a regular episode again. And we have the man, the legend, the anime reviewer extraordinaire himself, and the master of Nintendo discussions. It's RogersBase.
Thank you very much for having me, Daan. This is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if they're actually going to hear the song that I just sang for you before we got started, but I hope they do, because I am very much in a Fire Emblem mood. I don't have Fire Emblem Heroes in the United States yet, and I gotta admit, I'm a little bit salty.
I can totally see that. I actually went to bed like really late at like 6 a.m. and then I woke up at 11 and the game was already out for an hour and I had to go to the doctor's for my doctor's appointment. So I didn't get to play it until late afternoon, to be frank. But yeah, America still doesn't have it, and we did at the beginning of today, so that's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Like people are saying on Twitter, it might be because of Trump. Maybe he said, nope, you guys can't have Fire Emblem Heroes. We're putting a ban on Fire Emblem Heroes.
We're gonna make Fire Emblem great again by removing all the waifu characters.
And Japan is gonna pay for it.
And Japan is gonna pay... Well, they pay for it anyway.
That's true, they do.
Anyway, this is Coffee Talk, the show where we just talk nonsense for like 90 minutes. Well, I would say nonsense, but we also get questions from you lovely people, and then we just have a talk and see where it ends. Usually when I start a conversation, I always ask first, Roger, is there something that comes to mind that you want to talk about before we actually get into questions?
I think the main thing, honestly, is Fire Emblem Heroes. I really want to know more about Fire Emblem Heroes because you've played like 4 hours of it. And so I kind of want to know your impressions, like what you think of it. Because I'm a massive Fire Emblem fan. Like, I love Fire Emblem on both the DS games and also the 3DS games. I'm looking forward to the remake of Gaiden. I have most of the Fire Emblem games that are available on Virtual Console downloaded onto my system. And, of course, I'm looking forward to Warriors and Fire Emblem on the Switch. So, yeah, I kind of just want to know your thoughts on Heroes so far. And that's considering cool. The fact that that's, what just came out today, it's kind of a hot topic. That's
fair. Okay, so... As you know, I am one of the biggest Fire Emblem fans that I at least know in my book. I have every single Japanese game mint in box now, which is a struggle. Especially the Wii and the GameCube ones are really hard to get, but I got it done. Still working my way through the European and American ones, but eventually I will get that collection completed. So with that in mind, I was sort of nervous for Fire Emblem Heroes, because I'm not sure where they would take it. And after playing it for about 4 hours, just like you said, I am sort of impressed by it. And I need to preface this in a way that makes sense, because yes, it's simpler than a regular Fire Emblem game. The missions are shorter, you're only with 4 units of yourself on the playing field. But it's all condensed in a mobile form factor that I think is really compelling, because you can just play a mission for about a couple of minutes, put your phone down and go do something else, which is a very, very compelling thing in my book. As far as the difficulty goes, I thought it was easier than I had with other Fire Emblem games. I think on normal you won't really have that hard of a time, and even on hard I seem to have the upper hand. But I don't mind. It's something that I don't really pay all that much money for. I just can get a bunch of characters if I would want to. But overall, it's still the overall just upgrading characters, working with the weapon triangle, moving your units around, fighting against them, and succeed in battle. And that's where it all comes down to.
So what were the first units that you got when you first turned on the game? Because I'm assuming it sort of works like you roll for characters, like, and you get like a certain like amount of characters at the very beginning, and then as you get more orbs throughout the course of the game, you get more characters. So who were the first ones that you got when you first turned on the game?
So naturally, I got first Anna was my first character, actually, because as you start a game, you get introduced to Anna, who summons you to that world. And she is the commander now, which is really interesting because she was a merchant in all of the other games.
Yeah.
But she is now the commander, like the boss in charge, really, of all the units, which is really cool.
And that makes sense considering, I mean, like, she's always been in all the other Fire Emblem games. So if they're going to make someone sort of like the head of all of them, it should be Anna.
Yeah. And I also really like her design in this game. Like, how she wields the axe is really cool. Outside of that, you have the two main characters who I forget exactly the names of. I'm actually just opening my app just to see what their names are again, because that's how the kind of guy I am. I already forgot about their names.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Sharina and Alfonso. That's what their names. And Sharina is a lance wielder, and Alfonso... Where is Alfonso? There we go. And Alfonso is a swordsman. And they seem to have pretty solid stats from the go. Also, they already have like a special ability called Daylight. So if you get attacked like a massive amount of damage, you can do like an attack that does double the damage directly back to your opponent, which is really nice. So you get a good start with Anna and those two. And then I know for a fact that the next character you get is random. You're not sure what you're gonna get depending on who you play. And the character I got for free was Firion from Fire Emblem Awakening. So he was my first like non-main story character, which made it for a good combination because it's basically... It represents like 3-4 different weapon types, so that's a really solid lineup to have. So I got for the first couple of missions, earned myself some orbs, also sign up to my Nintendo, because you get 10 free orbs that way. So I rolled a couple of characters, and the first two characters that I got were, let's see, Cecilia. Okay.
Oh yeah, from Gaiden.
Yes.
Cool.
Is Cecilia from Gaiden? I can't remember.
I think she is, yeah. Almonds. Oh, Celica's from Gaiden.
Who's Cecilia again? Cecilia. This is very professional. I'm just looking it up on the
internet. I know. I honestly can't remember now. I thought Cecilia was the one from Gaiden. She has like red hair and a bob.
No, she has green long hair. Cecilia.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong person then. Yeah.
From the Binding Blade, from the game before the one we first got in North America and Europe.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I looked her up right now on Fire Emblem Wiki. I know who you're talking about. The one with like the mage wand or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And she was a 3-star character, so I was sort of bummed, but I was okay with it. After that, I started to get the good rolls, like the really good rolls. So I got, let's see... I got Jacob from Fire Emblem Fates. I got Olivia from Awakening. I got Kane.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's not a name that I've heard in a very long time in terms of Fire Emblem.
But it's really cool to have.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I got Tsubaki from Fire Emblem Fates.
Cool.
And Takumi from Fire Emblem Fates.
I think I'm thinking of the right character. Kane is the one with that awesome red armor, right?
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because he was in, if I remember correctly, he was in Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem, right?
He was in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, yeah, but he had a helmet on. But here, he's on helmet to just have his short red hair, which is a nice.
He's still a cool character, though. That's a good role.
Yeah. So I had some really good roles. I was pretty stoked about it.
Right on.
And yeah, I just played through a few short missions. They're really short, so I got through the first 2 chapters of that game. Also tried to level up some more characters, especially Olivia, because her opening attacks were not all that strong. So I went to the training grounds and did some extra support missions. And it's basically a shorter, snappier version of a Fire Emblem game, but with the added benefit that it can roll the characters potentially that you would really want, like Camilla, like a Lyn, like a Takumi. And next to that, it also has a really different, weird art style, which I wasn't really sure about at first. The chibi art style is weird looking. Especially weird for how I remember Fire Emblem looking.
Of course, yeah.
But I ultimately I think it serves its purpose well. I mean, the fields themselves are also like really small, and they're based on older Fire Emblem games. Like I immediately, when I went into a story mission that was based on Fire Emblem Fates, you immediately get that a smaller rendition of the opening map where you actually have to where Corrin actually has to make the choice. So they do bring back memories of Fire Emblem past, but it also is a game that you can enjoy without knowing anything about it.
So my main question, the big thing that I actually really want to know about this game is, do you see yourself, and I guess this is kind of a bad question because I already know the answer, yes, you did pay money already to get extra stuff in the game. But do you think it's a requirement to buy anything in the game? Like, do you think it gets to a point where you need to buy it, like the difficulty ramped up so much? Or does it seem like something that if you play for like an hour a day, you could always come back to it and there'll always be something new to do, and you'll always be able to, to keep getting further in the game without actually spending any money? Because that was my big thing with Pokemon Go, I, to this day, have not spent a dime on Pokemon Go. And I know a lot of people who right off the bat bought a lot of Pokeballs and, bought all this extra stuff and whatever, lucky eggs and incubators. It's been like a while since I played Pokemon Go. But I remember people were like buying all that stuff and then leveled up really quickly. And all my friends were like level 28, 29, 30 within the course of like 2 weeks. And then everybody dropped the game. Meanwhile, I'm still playing Pokemon Go and I'm at like level 26 and I'm still enjoying myself because I haven't caught everything. I just will remember, oh yeah, Pokemon's on my phone, and I pick it up, and then I'm like, oh, okay, there's this Pokemon in this area. I'm gonna try to catch it right now, and it's become sort of this natural thing that I check, but I've never needed to pay money to actually get enjoyment out of it. So that's my question to you: is do you feel like you need to actually pay extra money to get enjoyment out of this game?
Not necessarily, at least so far. I mean,
Good.
Even the characters that I have collected were pure because I wanted to, not because the game forced me to.
Yeah.
Because I'm too much Fire Emblem OCD that if I see a character in the thumbnail, I'll likely want that character in the thumbnail. So I'm a very weird specimen in that sense. But no, so far, I feel that the characters you start with, especially Anna and the other two main characters of the story, serve their purpose well to get you as far as you can. As far as hitting a wall, though, I would say that you still have the support missions to actually increase your levels if you really need to.
Cool. But you don't need to pay to access those missions, is my question.
No.
Oh, great. Okay.
They do cost stamina though, because you have a stamina bar. And
sure.
That stamina bar is 50, and some missions will take up 5, 2, or 10, depending on the scope and the level of that mission.
And then I'm assuming that stamina bar recharges the more you don't play the game, right? So you close the app or whatever, you come back tomorrow and it recharges. Yeah,
you actually get a notification on your phone that the stamina has been fully recharged again.
Awesome, cool. Well, this is very good news to me because I was getting kind of worried. I saw a lot of people saying that they were re-rolling to get certain characters, and I'm like, how do you do that? And they're like, oh, you uninstall the game and you reinstall it. And then I saw other people saying that since it's not available in the North American store, they tried downloading the European or the Japanese one, but then when they registered to their My Nintendo account, they got banned. So I'm like, this just seems like a mess. I need to talk to somebody who's actually played the game for a sizable amount of time, and everything you're saying sounds really good to me. As a Fire Emblem fan and somebody who enjoys playing games on my phone, this is going to be something I see myself sinking a lot of time into.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also helps that I have not been playing that many games this week, so I finally had the urge to play something. The only thing that I really played this week was the new version of Box Boy.
Goodbye Box Boy?
Yeah, I played. already the halfway through Goodbye Box Boy.
I love the Box Boy series. Like, we should do a podcast just about the Box Boy series, because I feel like that's one of those underrated gems that not a lot of people talk about because it's all digital. And obviously, they have their little amiibo figure and stuff. But I love that franchise. I really want like a Box Boy level on the next Smash Brothers, or I want them to like find a way to put Box Boy in the next Smash Brothers. I think he's one of the great new Nintendo characters.
He's so adorable. Yeah,
he is. He's so cute. And I saw those cool like Kirby amiibo costumes for Box Boy too.
Yeah, I did a video on that specifically, showing off all of those 4 costumes.
Pretty cool.
But the gameplay itself, it's more Box Boy in the grand scheme of things. Honestly, like the really big changes we'll see in certain worlds, like how do you saw it in Box Boy, how some worlds shine more than others. That's definitely the case here. For example, there's a world where blocks will drop from the ceiling and you need to time dropping your own blocks to create platforms to go to the other side, which is really interesting. And of course you have the rocket boxes, which you get for one world and one world alone. They use that to its full extent, which I think is also again the power of that franchise, where they make use of one concept but take that concept to its full conclusion.
I just went on your YouTube channel really quick and I checked, and I saw that Kirby amiibo costume gameplay, and I'm looking at the King Dedede one, and it's just the funniest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's
incredible. I love it.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's so fun. I really, really like that game. And I really gave those last 2 games a high praise. I don't know if it will end up that way exactly. I do really think there are more story beats in this one than the last 2 games, and you really see that's building up to something. I'm not sure where it's going yet, but I do really like the style and the flair in that game, and they seem to have up to what they're doing as far as value goes, which is good stuff.
Cool.
Is there anything that you have played? Because I feel I'm only talking about what I have been playing. Which
well, that's mainly why I asked you, because I haven't been playing anything this week. I feel like beyond Overwatch, I played a little bit of Overwatch on PS4 last night. That's like my go-to game that I play before I go to bed is Overwatch. I usually like make a goal for myself. Like I have a whole to-do list that I write every morning of things I need to do each day. And one of those things is like workout. The other thing is to cook at least one meal. And then the other thing is to level up 1 level in Overwatch. And so, like, that's my go-to thing I do. I play, like, 3 or 4 matches of Overwatch. I level up, and then I go to bed. So, yeah, really beyond Overwatch, I have not been playing a lot. Oh, that's not true. There is one game that I have been playing a lot, now that you mentioned it, that actually I don't even know if it's out in North America yet, but they sent me a copy of it, and that is Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, it's as of recording, it's out tomorrow.
Well, perfect. I love this because I am somebody who did not play Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U. I had played like the demo that was in store, and I played the demo at E3, and I played co-op with a couple other people when I was visiting them, but I actually didn't have the game myself. And so I had very, very little experience, and I didn't really know like what to expect. And I gotta say, I am loving this game a lot. And I actually think I am happy that I skipped out on the Wii U version and that this was the version that I'm like accustomed to. Because I feel like if I had already played the Wii U version, I would have been used to those graphics, and I would have been like disappointed because obviously it's a Wii U game on a 3DS. It's not going to look as good as it did on Wii U. But I actually still think it looks really nice on the handheld. I think it's got a really nice look to it. And on top of that, too, I think the level design is great. I love how it just like there's a lot of exploration in that game, I feel, and it doesn't really hurt you when you don't want to explore. I feel like the game has a really good way of saying, all right, if you choose to like go in this little area and unzip this little thing, you'll enter this like new little cavern area and you'll get more extra gems or you'll find the secret, but you don't ever need to do it. You don't ever feel forced to explore. And I feel that's really nice for a handheld game because sometimes you just want to like breathe through a level while you're on the bus or something like that. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I also really, really like the Poochie Dash missions where you like, it's sort of like an endless runner where you press A and then you just jump with Poochie and then you have to like collect the little Poochie pups and then try to get gems. And then the first time you complete the level, these little missions come up, and then you complete these little missions, and you have to try to get like I think 1,500 gems or something, and collect all the Poochie pups. And then there's usually like one thing that's tied to a certain level. So for the first one, it's like to slide under a stump, and I think for the next one, it's like to grab all the gems that drop. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World. And again, I'm happy that I didn't play it on Wii U because now it's like a really fresh new experience for me. And the one thing in that game that I love more than anything else is the custom Yoshi. I have had so much fun making little custom Yoshi outfits. I posted a couple of them to my Instagram and my Twitter, and one that I put up was Joy-Con Boys. I made a Joy-Con Boys Etika Yoshi. So I made Yoshi's mane black, and I put the top part above his eyebrows black as well, and then I put the little, like, to represent, like, Etika's hair, and then I put, like, the red Joy-Con shirt on with the little Joy-Con Boys design, and then I put Tim's on his, I put Timberlands on his feet, and it's so funny, because now Yoshi's running around with Tim's and a Joy-Con Boys shirt, just running through the levels. It's a ton of fun. And then, of course, being the One Piece reviewer that I am, I went and I edited a little Monkey D. Luffy Yoshi. Nice.
And
it looks awesome. I mean, it looks like a professional, as if there was a Luffy amiibo that you tapped in. It looks really nice. I took my time with it. And so I'm really, really enjoying Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World. So beyond that and Overwatch, there really hasn't been anything else I've been playing.
Yeah, I've played through Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World for a review, and I was accustomed more to the Wii U version, but not because of its graphics, but because of its controls. I really loved using the remote on its side and tilting to throw the X. I really loved that.
Oh, see, for me, I would have hated that. I'm glad I didn't play it then, because I definitely would have hated it to tilt the controller. I like having it because I'm used to playing like Yoshi's Island, where you're holding down the shoulder button, and they have the two type options for controls too, where you could like. I think it's hasty is the one that like goes faster.
Hasty and patient, yeah.
Hasty and patient, yeah. So I always have marked it on hasty, and I've never had an issue.
Yeah, I'm direct opposite. I can't play it without it now. I was so in love with those controls on Wii U that I don't know any better. So they did try to replicate that by tilting the system on 3DS, but I don't like it as much as tilting the Wii remote.
Interesting.
Because especially in the special levels at the end of every world, you need to do a lot of motions like going through the levels, and when you are in the air, you just can keep tilting the remote and aim your X right, and it feels so satisfying to do. Yeah. And it's a very small tilt. You don't really have to throw the controller around to do something crazy. It's just really nice. It feels really nice to control. But outside of that, it's also that I found the additional content in the 3DS version kind of disappointing.
You didn't like the Poochie missions?
I didn't. There were not many Poochie missions. I felt kind of done, and every single time I got a Smiley Flower, I felt kind of obliged to go through Poochie's Gold Rush again.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Overall, though, I will say it's still a really good game, regardless of my gripes with it. So it's still totally worth picking up, and I think they did a really good job porting it to 3DS in comparison to some other 3DS games they ported from Wii U games.
I mean, let's call it out by name, right? Mario Maker was a piece of garbage on 3DS, so we're gonna point out what.
I wouldn't say it was total garbage.
It wasn't total garbage, but let's be real. It's no comparison to the Wii U one.
Yeah, but it was still the levels that they add, like the 100 levels, were still really fun. But but the sharing aspect is where that game completely fell flat on its face.
Sure.
But it was not the worst thing ever. I just felt that they were really misguided in how they handled that port.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of if there was anything else on 3DS that I played recently. It's strange. I was expecting to spend a lot more time with Pokemon Sun after beating it because of how much I loved that game. Mm-hmm. And I really haven't gone back and like trained Pokemon in Pokemon Sun. I feel like I found my competitive team very early on. Like I found like the Pokemon that I really like to use. And I've consistently been winning every time I go online. And it's funny because like during the Oris generation, everybody used Mega Kangaskhan. And so like if you didn't use Mega Kangaskhan, you basically lost, and it just wasn't fun. And now it's like I feel like I'm finding these weird strategies that like are throwing people by surprise, but I don't actually need to switch up anything yet. I'm good with just like Kartana and Machamp and Toxapex. I haven't needed to and Machamp is so good this generation. Like, I don't know if anyone's talked about it. Machamp is so good during this generation's metagame because he has no guard with dynamic punch, and because he has access to heavy slam and bullet punch, you can attach a steel Z move to Machamp. And Machamp then ends up getting the strongest steel move in the game when attached to Heavy Slam, while still having no guard dynamic punch, which is really, really crucial when you're in these situations where you send out a Machamp, they maybe have a rock type, they're going to switch out to their fairy because they assume you're going to use like a dynamic punch, and then you go in and predict it with like a steel move, Z move, and you just end up corkscrew crushing and killing their fairy. It's like, I love Machamp, man. And I feel like Machamp has been on the rise in 2016. He was in Pokken. Kit was talking about how much he loved him. He was one of the field Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and he's really good in the metagame. So, yeah. Hashtag Machamp, boys.
Hashtag Kit loves Machamp.
Kit does love Machamp.
Send everybody to Kito-san on Twitter, at Kito-san. You love Machamp, huh?
Yeah, everybody at Kito-san, you love Machamp, huh? Question mark, hashtag Machamp boys. He'll be like, what? That's funny.
Talking about Kit, there was actually a question here, which we'll likely get into, but we need to actually get into the questions, because we already spent like 25 minutes talking about games we played.
Well, I mean, that's what happens. When you invite me on, you invite your buddy on, you're talking about stuff, and I'm interested in Fire Emblem Heroes, that's what's going to happen.
That's true. Well, yeah. that was. I think it was also kind of crucial to talk about, to be honest.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is from 8-Bit Gamer, and he asks, does the new Bomberman look like a worthwhile game, or is it just another budget in quotations, title Konami is just making to stay relevant?
I am actually legitimately excited for Bomberman, because I'm someone who really liked the Saturn Bomberman games, where you could play with, like, I think it was like up to 8 people at once, and it was just like a really fun experience. And now having the ability to like just break off a Joy-Con and play Bomberman with your friend anywhere, and then specifically like linking up to other people and playing Bomberman, like I know you could hook up to 8 switches, and I'm assuming 2 characters to 8 switches, so that's 16 players. And I don't think they've confirmed 16-player Bomberman yet, but if you could hook up to 8 switches and you've got 2 Joy-Cons, that makes sense. And just the idea of playing like a 16-man Bomberman on a big screen TV just seems like a lot of fun and something I would absolutely like to play.
When I played of it, it seems fine. I just think it felt kind of vanilla. Like there were not any crazy rule sets like Bomberman Blast or the one on Xbox Live Arcade, which are both really good versions of Bomberman. And I would say that I would call them the hallmarks of what I want to have a Bomberman game to be like. At the same time, though, just playing it around with the Joy-Con, just standing there was still a nudge in my mind that was saying, "I am enjoying this.
Oh yeah,
I'm feeling okay with this."
Yeah, so I mean, classic Bomberman is something that like I don't think is ever going to get old. It's the design philosophy behind that game and the power-ups and sort of like just how you maneuver around the maps is something that it's like a type of visceral nostalgia almost. Like it reminds me of my youth, And so anytime I pick up and play, I feel like the same way about the new Street Fighter 2, like the Ultra Street Fighter 2 remake or whatever.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing. I feel like Bomberman and Street Fighter are really there for the nostalgia factor, but also because they're just, even if they are a little bit vanilla and they are just like the standard version of those games, you're sort of like experiencing something that you haven't felt in a really long time via playing them. And I do think some of the cool things in the new Bomberman, like the little different colored Bombermans with their little personalities and those big boss battles, do kind of seem like it makes that game worthwhile. And now I don't know if it would be worth like the $50 price tag, but speaking as somebody who I know is going to get a copy from PlayAsia just through my sponsorship, I'm like, whee! I can't wait to play it. So, but yeah, I guess if we're thinking about like if it's going to be actually worth it, I don't know. I think it depends on how much of a Bomberman fan you are. I guess for me, too, it's like, I love the Bomberman games on N64. Like, Bomberman 64, The Second Attack, and Bomberman Hero are all great games. I love all 3 of those games. I love the music in those games, and that's the one thing I could ask you if you've played it. Did you hear any of the music in the new Bomberman games? And if so, what was it like?
The music in the new Bomberman seemed, I guess, fine. I mean, it seemed typical battle-ass music that Konami would make for their games, so...
Okay. It didn't stand out to you, though, like the soundtrack of Hero?
No, it didn't. But
Okay,
it's
well, that's unfortunate.
yeah. That's why I felt it's kind of vanilla, like the experience overall. But it's overall, I don't think this can be a bad game. At least it will be competent.
Oh yeah, and I love the art style too. I think it looks
Yeah,
really
sure.
nice. It's a nice, clean HD take on the classic Bomberman look, and I really dig it. I really do.
Mm.
I like the little the anime cutscenes in it too, where they see in the trailer Bomberman's like, "Come on, guys, we got to get outside," and then the little lazy one's laying on the couch, the other one's jumping around, dancing with the pink one, and he's like, "Come on, bro, we got to save the world." It just looks like fun. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to playing during the first week of Switch. So.
One Matthew Morandi asks Yoshi One Up. Hello. Asks, why is the black Bomberman angry? He could also be black because he never wants to go back. Once you go black, you never go back.
You never go back. There you go.
That's also a real possibility.
Yeah, that is.
Arno asks, what did you think of the HD Rumble?
So this is something I talked about a little bit on Nintendo Dads last night. I am a believer in HD Rumble. Having now played the ball count game, I think it is awesome. And it's one of those things that you really do have to experience for yourself. You can't really have somebody explain to you what it's like. You need to actually pick up the Joy-Con for yourself and play ball count and feel the little balls rolling around, and you're accurately able to guess how many are in that Joy-Con to really understand how cool it is. And I can't wait to see some developers really take advantage of it and do some really interesting, unique things. I mean, even first-party developers, I was talking to the Nintendo Dads about this. How cool would it be if while you're playing Splatoon, the two Joy-Cons sort of fill up with ink while you're recharging your ink, and then they feel empty when you're running out of ink. I think that's something they could easily add in, and especially if you have the Joy-Con grip in your hand, you could actually feel it rumble, and then I would love that. I would really, really love for them to add something like that. And that's just one example. I mean, there's tons of really cool things they could do with it, but I am 100% a believer in the HD Rumble, and it's something that when I felt it for the first time, it was akin to when I played the Wii for the first time and when I saw 3D without glasses on 3DS for the first time. It's that same kind of feeling. And I never really had that feeling during the Wii U generation at all, and I feel it now. And I think that's a really good sign of things to come.
Yeah, looking back at the Wii U generation, I was back at E3 2012. I already kind of knew what was coming the next couple of years after being at E3 2012.
Yeah.
But after I spent, of course, more time than you did. I spent 5 to 6 hours with Nintendo Switch. And looking back at that experience, I would say that, walking away from that event at the end of the day, I was just really intrigued by the hardware, and I think the hardware is really good.
So what's your favorite aspect of the hardware so far? Do you like the Joy-Cons? Do you like the way they feel? Do you like the overall feel of the handheld version of the system? Do you like playing it on the dock? Did you prefer playing with the Pro Controller or the grip? Let's hear your thoughts.
So, on the last question, I would definitely say I would prefer the Pro Controller.
Okay.
Pro Controller felt really nice to wrap your hands around. Way more so than a Joy-Con grip. I don't want to say that Joy-Con grip is bad per se. If you're not interested in picking up a Pro Controller, then it's a fine alternative.
Yeah, I liked playing with the Joy-Con grip for sure.
Yeah, but as somebody who likes to have big bouncy buttons and something to really wrap my gigantic hands around, I think I would prefer the Pro Controller. The Joy-Cons, though, on their own, surprised me by how good they felt in the hand, especially when you have the strap attachment attached to it. You can really hold them tight into your hands and they really feel smooth. You almost forget that you're holding them.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience with the Joy-Cons. I picked them up for the first time and I was like, I feel they feel almost a little delicate. I don't know if you had the same feeling, but I felt like these are kind of delicate. They're really light. They're lighter than I expected. They're smaller than I expected. But then, as I got to playing them, I realized no, these are actually really solid little controllers.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're really comfortable in your hands too. I never felt like my hands were going to cramp up or anything like that. So yeah.
As far as the mode that I will likely be playing it in the most, it will likely be TV mode, and that's not to say that I will use the handheld mode. I love my handheld, so I likely will take it on the go with me a lot. But it's when I'm sitting at home and just experiencing the Joy-Cons while laying down on the couch, I think that will be a magical time, because it's finally the first time where I had a Wii-like experience where I don't have to hold it with close in my two hands because of the stupid nunchuck cable.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way. I think that when I'm playing it at home, I'm going to have it in the dock majority of the time and then play with either the Joy-Con grip or the Pro Controller. So
I will just play with Joy-Cons in my hand.
That too. Yeah,
I'm going to play... I think I'm going to play Zelda that way just to see what that experience is going to be like.
Huh. Interesting.
Maybe it will be a disaster, but I don't know yet. So
I don't think it will be. I mean, the Joy-Cons are really comfortable on their own.
Yeah,
I just feel like I like to have that extra grip,
For sure.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I can't say anything really bad about the hardware. I'm just really impressed. Again, way more than I initially was with Wii U. So, like, going into the cycle before launch, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it too. And I feel like even the things that are on the horizon and things that we don't know about come E3 time, I'm sure there's going to be questions about, like, Switch predictions, so I won't say too much yet. But, yeah, I feel like things are looking good for Nintendo right now. It's definitely a good time to be a Nintendo fan. And compounding that with Kimishima's other sort of, like, ideas of what to do with his IP, so, like, making the Nintendo theme parks, the TV shows, like, licensing out their stuff for mobile games. I just think Nintendo is making a lot of good choices now. The marketing is way better now than it was during the Wii U generation. Though, to be fair, marketing is easy when you have a marketable product. So, I'm looking forward to the future of Nintendo.
One Nintendo Force asks, I don't know who this is, likely some random fan Twitter account. Go away, Nintendo Force. How crazy excited was he during that Nintendo Switch surprise he filmed with Nintendo?
Oh, man. I mean, I pretty much lost my mind, honestly. Like you guys could see in the video, we were told beforehand that we were going into a Yoshi event. Like, so okay. Yoshi and Poochie Woolly World event. And so me and JD assumed we were going. JD was the other guy from LA who was at the YouTube phase. And he's a friend of mine. And we went there expecting it was going to be like a demo event. Like, you've been to, a number of Nintendo demo events where they have a lot of different kiosks of the same game. And they hand out, little things. Like, I thought we'd maybe get like little yarn Yoshis or something. And then like we'd leave. I thought it was like a Yoshi demo event. And the way it was described to us in our initial NDA email was that it was going to be a Yoshi event. So I show up at YouTube Space, and that was the day of inauguration in America. And YouTube Space, to clarify for anybody who has never been there before in LA, is directly across the street from Fox News. So Fox News was at YouTube Space filming in one of the big studios, like next to us. So they were in like a whole studio, like taking over, doing inauguration coverage. On the other studio, on the other side of us in the YouTube Spaces, there was a creator day for beauty YouTubers. And then in this one little room in the inside hallway of YouTube Space is where we did our filming for that Nintendo Minute. And I thought, this is a little bit of a small room for us to like have this Yoshi event. And I arrive and I contact Kit and Chris down. I'm like, hey, I'm here. So one of you guys need me to like come in. I'll come join you guys. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to come get you. And that was the first thing where I was like, this is kind of weird, because like I've recorded at YouTube Space before myself. Like, no one needs to come get you. If you have access to the space, you just walk in and you go to where you're supposed to go. And then when I saw Kit and Krista walk out, and then I saw Kate walk out and she's talking to me about everything, I noticed there was like black tape all over the windows. And I thought, this is weird. Why are they like being so confidential about a Yoshi game? Like, this game has been out for a long time. Like, it seems weird. But it didn't like register to me that like it was a Switch. I just thought like it's weird that they're being so confidential about Yoshi. And then when Kate's like, okay, we're going to have you walk in and just record the opening of your vlog and talk about Yoshi, I was like, all right, this will be great. And JD I had already talked to beforehand because he had filmed his segment earlier, and he didn't let on that he played the Switch. He was like, yeah, man, Yoshi's really good. He's talking about the Poochie amiibo. And then I walk in, and then, of course, the rest is history. We lift up that box, and I just completely lost my mind when I saw the Switch.
For me, it was a very different cycle because I knew I was going to play the Switch back in December. So, for me, just counting the days until that day, and when that day came, I had only like 45 minutes to watch the part of the presentation, and immediately I had to catch a car ride to the train station.
You're still lucky that... you know what? I was going to say you're lucky that you knew, but actually I do like that I was surprised. That was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the surprise element of it is way more intriguing than knowing like months beforehand.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I still can't give props to Nintendo enough for inviting me because I've never been invited for a European event like that before.
Really?
So for me, it was also an entirely new experience to just be there and just walk around and have like conversations with people who were manning the stands and just having a whole day working just on coverage of Nintendo Switch, which was a really weird thing to me because it's the first console launch I've ever done that before.
Well, at least it's a good first console launch, you know? It's like you're not doing it with the Wii U.
Oh, yeah, the Wii U. How much more are we going to rag on the Wii U?
I mean, I could rag on it for as long as, you want to. So
you can give it a go if you want to.
No, I mean, I honestly, like, I hate to be down on it because, to be fair, I mean, I worked for Nintendo when the Wii U launched. That was when I was working for them as a product demonstrator all the way back in Chicago before I even moved to LA. And it was just one of my most memorable experiences doing product demonstration for Wii U was we were demonstrating Wii U and also demonstrating the 3DS the same holiday.
Yeah.
And one of the games that was demoing on the 3DS was New Super Mario Bros. 2, and on the Wii U was New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. And every single time, kids would tell me when I asked them, like, oh, what was your favorite game you played today? They would always say New Super Mario Bros. 2 and didn't even care about the Wii U version. And from that point, I was like, we're in trouble. Like, this is not going to be good. And then, of course, when I stopped working for them and I was, doing stuff for, I shouldn't even say, whatever, Disney, it's fine. I can talk about it now. But when I started doing stuff for Disney and I moved out to LA, I was just like playing Wii U games on my own. I was just, looking at it from the perspective of a Nintendo fan and not a Nintendo employee. And realistically, when I look back at that system, there's a lot of good content there. Like, I love Xenoblade Chronicles X. Bayonetta 2 is great. But beyond, like, Pikmin, Mario Maker, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and Splatoon, I feel like there's nothing else that really, like, that I loved on the system. And there were games I liked. Like, after you had recommended me Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I played that and I really enjoyed it. But I wasn't, like, in love with it. And
I for the record, I love that game.
No, I know you do. Yeah. And it's that's why I brought it up. And there's a lot of games that are like that I really enjoyed, but nothing like stood out to me beyond the ones that I've already mentioned that like I really loved. Whereas like I'm looking at the first year of Switch launch, and I know there's like 3 or 4 games on that list that I already know I'm going to love. So for me, I mean that's why I feel a little more optimistic.
Already doing the initial like writing for the goodbye articles on Wii U, and what I've noticed from all the reviews that I've done, and those were about 125 Wii U reviews.
125.
Which includes most Wii U retail games. I covered about 85% of them. A bunch of eShop stuff too. And when I looked at it back, I realized I never gave a game a 10 during the Wii U generation.
Never. What was the score you gave to Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
A 9.
A 9. Okay, well, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you got to also remember too, the Wii U era had some real great games. Things like Archery on eShop, and things like Mario Power Tennis.
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Mario Tennis Ultra. Oh, I couldn't even remember the name. It's so bad. I just feel like, I don't know. It just felt like a lazy generation to me. Like, even with the Mario games, like, I know I get hate all the time for going, oh, 3D World's not a real Mario game. And I love 3D World. Like, I shouldn't say I love it. I like 3D World. I love the soundtrack of 3D World. The soundtrack is awesome.
The 3D World is a very enjoyable game. I personally enjoy the 3DS version of it way better.
I am right there with you. I think 3D Land is better than 3D World too. I'm right there with you. I do love 3D World soundtrack though. Yeah,
I do agree with that. But
so I'm like ready to have my Super Mario 64-esque Mario game. My open world Zelda game. Give me all this. I'm ready.
I mean, I love the level-based 3D Mario games, but I am very open towards a new open world 3D Mario.
Yeah, and I'm not saying those games are bad. I should also clarify. Like, if you love those games, cool. Like, no harm to you. I'm just saying that, like, for me personally, yeah, I do like the level-based ones, but I like having the open world, big, areas of exploration similar to like Mario 64 and Sunshine. So
No, I totally agree with that.
yeah.
So let's see. Mike Hellum asks, give us a Switch Year 1 sales prediction. Which Switch third-party games are you most excited about?
So we did this last night on NintenDaan's, actually, this exact thing. We did sales predictions. We did sales predictions for the first 2 years and then sales prediction for lifetime. And
wow.
yeah, and I made a prediction that we are going to be seeing at least, for lifetime, 50 million for the Switch. I think it's going to be at least 50 million. Which would be very good coming off the Wii U generation. It's not quite the Wii level of sales that Kimishima was touting the other day. But I do think we're going to at least hit that, because I do think if this becomes the all-in-one console, sales will cannibalize and everything will go to the Switch. And the 3DS, I mean, sold 65 million so far, and it's still growing.
Yeah, it's still they actually. I want to touch upon something that I actually said in the discussion we did with a certain Josh Thomas.
Please do, yeah.
Kimishima mentioned it. Kimishima mentioned the 3DS successor.
Yeah, recently. I think just yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, though, he's being coy. And I don't want to say he's lying, because I don't think he's lying. But I think when he's talking about a handheld successor and like a 3DS successor, I think he is referring to like a sort of what we talked about, that Switch Mini, which I personally feel is going to be a dedicated handheld, but it's of the Switch line, and I think it's going to, either not have separable Joy-Cons, like it'll just be just like a tablet that looks like the Switch, maybe a little bit smaller. It's not going to have the dock. It's not going to have all the other features, so they could sell it like at a much lower cost, and it becomes sort of their handheld system for the kid audience, similar to like what happened with the 2DS and the 3DS. And to be honest, like I play my 2DS more than I play my 3DS, because now 3D, the magic of it sort of has worn off, and I don't really like playing games in 3D as much anymore. And I find the 2DS to be really comfortable. So I do kind of feel like their next dedicated handheld, quote unquote, is going to be like a Switch Mini. And I think those sales will still go towards the Switch. And that's going to be their way to say, oh, we're not stepping out of the handheld market yet. We're still making dedicated handhelds because we see there's a market for them. But we're also not going to split our development teams. Because, I mean, they just consolidated their teams into one big team now. A year ago. So, I mean, they're not going to like just go, okay, we're going to split that up again. Like, that's for sure happening. I do think that what Kimishima means when he says that is that they're open to the idea of a handheld successor. And then what that successor would probably be like what I just talked about, like a Switch Mini with maybe Joy-Cons that don't come off.
I am honestly not sure yet. And the reason why is because of the context of the article where it says that he seems to be more leaning towards saying it's a new device than a Switch-like device.
Well, the thing that is interesting is that Miyamoto a couple weeks ago said something very similar that no one really reported on, but he had mentioned when they were talking about the next Zelda after Breath of the Wild, he mentioned that the next Zelda game they make would probably be for whatever their next system is. And considering they're looking at like the new handheld next, it would probably be for that. And that was exactly what Miyamoto said. So even they're referencing another future handheld, but I don't think it's going to be what we expect. I think it's going to be something in the Switch family. I really do. I think they're saying that maybe to save face right now because they don't want to like put all their eggs in the Switch basket and they want to be kind of careful. And obviously 3DS still has a really strong lineup this year, so they don't really need to kill it off right away, similar to what they did with past systems.
They already also said that they still want to capitalize on how Sun and Moon sales increased like the population, especially in the 2DS line. Yeah. So they are still announcing new games that they haven't talked about yet.
I will say this. I think my view on this could change entirely based on one thing. And that is whether or not Pokemon Stars is on the Switch. If that is real, and that's actually coming to the Switch this holiday, and they're actually putting a mainline Pokemon game on a home console, I think that is the nail in the coffin for dedicated handhelds. I feel that is their sort of like their sign of saying, okay, listen, this is what we're doing from here on out. This is our new Pokemon machine. If you want to play Pokemon games, you're going to play it on the Switch. And then from there, I think we might get into like that Switch Mini territory. But if we don't see Pokemon Stars on Switch, then I think that opens up the possibility for a dedicated handheld.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's entirely up to Pokemon. Honestly, it really is. It's been like that since Game Boy. I mean, it's nothing new. They always, no matter where Pokemon is, if there's a Pokemon game, there needs to be a handheld. And if that Pokemon game doesn't need to be on a handheld, there's no need for a handheld anymore.
Yeah, what I felt about it, and I gave this a lot of thought, is I realized that Nintendo doesn't make two games in the same franchise most of the time on a single system. So we've seen the weird resurgence with Fire Emblem where we have 3 games, well technically you could say you have 5 games, of Fire Emblem now on 3DS. But most other franchises like 3D Mario, so the level-based Mario, 3D Land, or a new Legend of Zelda game or what have you, most of the time it's just one game per system. And I'm wondering if they would put all of their eggs into one basket for those first 2 years of Switch, what else can they really do to put on the Switch?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know.
I feel that they're already preparing themselves for a future where they might have a handheld again, not just immediately because the 3DS is still selling well enough.
Yeah, but I don't like... I don't see a possibility where that gets announced like E3 2018, you know? I feel like if they do end up doing that, maybe it's like way later on down the line or something. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that, but it's so hard to call because it really could go either way. This is a really complicated issue.
Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that the handheld is not the carryover from the previous generation. Like normally we had like the DS, which came out in the GameCube generation, and then the Wii era carried the DS through, right? And then 3DS came out about near the end of the Wii's life cycle. Then it survived throughout the course of Wii U, and now 3DS is surviving throughout the course of the Switch as well. But the Switch is sort of like the carryover in terms of the system, where it's like Switch is going to exist for 2 handheld generations if they make another handheld. It'll be like the 3DS and this new handheld both existed during the Switch era. It's weird. It's not really something that we've like experienced before, and it's unique. It's cool. Normally, when they come out with a handheld, the handheld has some type of unique feature that ties to whatever that other thing is. So like the DS had some of the features where it communicate with the Wii. You had the link cables with the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube, and then 3DS you could use the 3DS as a controller for Smash and Wii U. So I'm curious how the handheld, if there is a new dedicated handheld, would work with the Switch, considering the Switch is already a handheld, you know? Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, they call it a handheld mode. Well, we still call it a handheld. It's a weird situation, and I don't know what Nintendo is thinking in that sense.
Yeah.
But we'll likely have to revisit this like a very late down the line. Yeah. Like, we won't hear about it from them at least for another solid half year to 9 months.
Yeah.
Even if something like that actually exists. Because I do think something like that somehow exists. The reason why is we don't need to forget that the 3DS sold way more than Wii U. Like, way more.
Way more, yeah.
And I think that within Nintendo, there's an understanding that their handheld division is still stronger than their home console division.
Yeah. Well, I meant to say this though, because we kind of got off topic. We were talking about the. This is what happens though. This is why these coffee talk things are fun. We were talking about what the projected sales for Switch would potentially look like within like the first 2 years.
Right.
And I actually could see it almost doubling the sales of Wii U's lifetime in 2 years. Wii U's lifetime, I think, right now is at like 12 million or 13 million?
13.65.
Yeah, so I could see 25 million for Switch by the end of 2018.
You know what? I can see that too. If they play their cards right, I can see why not.
Yeah, I could see 25 million worldwide by the end of 2018. And that would be awesome. That'd be really, really good.
Mm-hmm. You do realize that when you say that, it would exceed also the GameCube.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But the GameCube was also, I don't know, the GameCube came out at like a weird time, and I feel like the GameCube. I love the GameCube. GameCube is probably one of my favorite all-time Nintendo systems. I adore the
sure.
GameCube.
Yeah.
But I feel during that generation specifically, PS2 had such a grasp on that market, and that was also a time in which Nintendo was directly competing with them. And as much as people like to say, oh, Switch, compare it to like PS4 and Xbox, they're not really competing with them anymore. Like it's not really their competition. Switch is their own thing, and I know tons of people who already have a PS4 who are looking to get a Switch, and people who skipped the Wii U generation who want to get a Switch. And I feel like Switch is going to become the secondary console for a lot of people this generation, where they're going to have like a PS4 or an Xbox and then also have a Switch. And actually, I shouldn't even include Xbox in that because Xbox hasn't been doing great sales-wise. So I kind of feel like most people are going to be PS4 Switch for the next couple of years.
I am personally more of an Xbox guy, and I totally get it because they cancelled Scalebound.
Yes, they did. They did. See, the weird thing with Xbox, this is something I want to talk about too while I'm here with you, is with Xbox and with PlayStation, they just released the PS4 Pro. Xbox is hyping up the Scorpio like it's, this next-gen system, which is weird that they're like already thinking about retiring the Xbox One despite what they said last year.
Scorpio is part of the Xbox One family.
Right, well, they say that. But now, like, all these developers are coming out saying it's next-gen, and it's like, So I don't really know. It plays, obviously, the Xbox One games, and things will be able to be playable on Xbox One, but I feel like the system itself, power-wise, is like a next-gen system. Right. And I feel like, I love my PS4 more than I love my PS4 so much. I play it every day. And I could not get myself to purchase a PS4 Pro because it's expensive. I'm buying a whole nother system. And same with if I was an Xbox fan, like I don't think I would buy Scorpio if I could still play those games on Xbox One.
I am an Xbox fan, and I bought an Xbox One S.
Well, see, there you go. Yeah. And with Nintendo, I think what they're doing is smart, especially based on what Kimishima said a couple of days ago, because it sounds like they're looking for a longer life cycle on this thing, and that instead of iterating on it like with an entirely new console generation, it sort of sounds like they're going to iterate on it in different ways. And what I mean by that is like we just talked about the Switch Mini potentially being like a cheaper kids edition of it or like a handheld version.
Yeah.
Then I think, and that'll be sort of like, the DS Lite or whatever. That'd be like the DS Lite of the Switch generation. Then I think everybody agrees at some point there's going to be a 4K dock. And I think it's smart that they're selling those docks separately because then if you still have the Switch already and you want to upgrade, to be able to play your games in 4K, they'll eventually like make a 4K dock in like a year and a half or whatever, and it's like $100 and you buy it separately. But then you don't have to pay $400 to get a new system. It's like $100, and then you suddenly are able to play in 4K. And I think that's easier to market, and I think it's an easier pill to swallow if you really want to have like better technology, but then at the same time you don't want to break your wallet. And on top of that, Kimishima just mentioned they're already looking into VR as well. And I think like the Joy-Cons are such perfect VR controllers with the HD rumble and the motion control and with all the buttons on them that I could easily see them in like 3-4 years releasing the VR headset for the Switch, and the headset's just sold separately. It's not a new system. You just buy the headset, you put it on, you take out your Joy-Cons, and you're good to go. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to iterate on this in a natural way and still have that big technological leap in terms of specs and progression without actually selling you an entirely new system. And I think that's something we haven't really seen in the industry and something that really excites me.
Right. It's really hard to say though, or to call how Nintendo is exactly going to iterate on the Switch.
Sure. I mean, it's very early days. The Switch isn't even out yet, so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else is there? Joe Foreman asks, Mario Odyssey, is he actually traveling to these places, or is it all one big dream?
I think he's actually traveling to these places.
I agree.
Yeah, via his ship. Yeah. I do think it's interesting that these levels look to be based on real-life locations for the most part. We've got like the Mexico theme level, the Egyptian theme level, we've got the New York City theme level. The outlier to this is the cooking level, But I do think it's interesting that like the theme of Odyssey seems to be like Mario-fied takes on real-life locations. And I just did a video with the BitBlock about this, and we talked about like other places we'd like to see sort of turned into levels in the next Mario game. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to make like a level based on Italy. Because I think Mario should go to Italy at some point, you know? And I think it'd be really cool to have...
I hope that New Donk City has a Brooklyn-like arena.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But I want to see like a Venetian type of level where you're like, you know, there's like canals and you're riding through these canals and you have little toads in gondolas with their little rowboats.
So kind of like the Mario Party 7 board.
Absolutely like the Mario Party 7 board. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a fun level, or maybe like a level that takes place in Hollywood, and it would be like a haunted movie studio. And I'm thinking it would be, instead of Hollywood, it'd be called Hollywood. And it'd be like a haunted movie studio where you go through, like you're running around the rafters of the movie studio and these little director toads are like saying action, cut. And you're running through the stages that are all set up as like sound stages for old Mario games. So you have like Mario 3 with like the Mario, and then like Paper Mario with the stage. Like I think that there's some really cool opportunities for some neat stuff on like a movie studio Hollywood themed level. And then I could see like the boss of that level being like King Boo, but he has like one of those little director's hats on and a megaphone, and he goes wah, 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 and he's yelling at you with the megaphone. You got to bounce on his head. Like, oh man, I need that level.
What you described is so perfect. That's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that actually disappoints me now.
Yeah. Oh well.
Let's see. What do you think of the price that was revealed for the online service of the Switch by CH Master 307?
I'm very happy about it. I was expecting like $40. So to hear that it's going to be like $20, $30 yearly is great.
Yeah, I feel more okay with that price after hearing it.
Yeah, especially considering the NES and the SNES games are going to have added online play too. And like I had this argument with somebody who was saying, you know, like, well, you pay for PS Plus, but you're getting all these games, and it's like, yeah, but a lot of the time the games you get for free on PS Plus are like budget games that you wouldn't have wanted to play anyway. Whereas like these are classic NES and Super Nintendo games that are getting like a new, you know, fresh coat of paint and new life breathed into them through like online play. You know, like online play ice hockey, online play Super Mario Kart. That kind of stuff is really cool. Super Metroid with like speedrun leaderboards. There's really cool opportunities for them to sort of like give all of these old games a reason to like to be replayed.
Yeah, I am interested in having NES and Super Nintendo games with online play. I don't know how that will work and how good it will work, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what I think of the price, it's totally fair. I think that $20 for online comparison to what the other two systems are doing is interesting. I do agree that with PlayStation Plus that some of the games they offer are not always the best. And in that sense, I actually think that Xbox Live is a whole lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they offer they offer 3 games a month. One is available for the entirety of the month. Then one is available in the first half, and then the third is available during its second half. So they usually do now one like compatible 360 game that you can now play on Xbox One, and then one smaller title, and then one retail release, which I think is a good lineup of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like initially when I first heard about the Switch Online stuff, I wasn't really happy with just renting a NES or Super Nintendo game. And I'm still not sure how to feel about that, but at least with the price, I do feel some slightly better about the entire ordeal. Which that's at least something. I mean, I don't necessarily still really much like it, but everything they've now offering in the context of their price seems fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Jordan Rudek asks, name one GBA game that will never come to Virtual Console that you would like to see on the Switch.
Okay, cool. Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hands. Right there.
Oh man, you already stole the grand answer. But name one GBA game that didn't come to Wii U that you would like to see on the Switch, though. Okay.
Mother 3.
Well, that wasn't really hard. Jeez. Wow, okay.
That was
Screw
a very
that. Let's
easy
go to the next
question.
question.
That was an easy question on 2 counts. Which game would you like to see that would never come to it, and which game would you like to see on it that could come to it? So easy. Boktai and Mother 3.
Wow.
I didn't even have to think about it. They come off the top of my head. So easy.
Nathan asks, which third-party character would you like to see added to Smash 4? Same for a stage that is based on a third-party series.
Yeah, Bomberman. And I think it's more likely than ever now because Bomberman's a launch title for the Switch. So I think, and I don't think Konami's ever going to give back Solid Snake. I think Nintendo, I mean, they might. I don't know. They've been whoring out Solid Snake in weird places recently, so I don't know. They might. But I feel like that's kind of Kojima's baby, and I don't think they really want to, like, tread on that. So I could see them sort of allowing Nintendo to put Bomberman in there. So I'd like to see Bomberman. He's a character I have a lot of nostalgia with, and a character I think a lot of people want in the game.
I'm just going to give the most oddball answer possible, and I would say the dragon from Puzzle Bobble.
The dragon from Puzzle Bobble would be so cool. I like that. That's a good answer.
It's never going to happen.
No, yeah, but I like that. That's a good answer.
But I think that would be really cool, and the best thing in the universe.
Wasn't there a Puzzle Bobble on N64?
Yeah.
I remember really liking that game.
I remember liking also the re-release on WiiWare.
Bust a Move 99. That's what it was. Bust a Move 99 was the name of that game.
Bust a Move 99 was one of the best ones, for sure.
Oh, man. Oh, I want to go back and, like, I'm going to, when this is done, I'm going
to... Remember when Taito used to make games on a regular basis?
That's a third-party company I would actually really like to see add stuff to Smash Brothers. Because they have a history with Nintendo. I mean, they've released tons of games on Nintendo, and I feel like that's sort of a big...
Can you imagine...
Could you imagine a Space Invaders level? Like, a Space Invaders level would be amazing.
That. Oh
yeah, that's
God.
Like, especially considering, like, how Smash has sort of become, like, a history of video games kind of franchise now, with, like, Pac-Man and Sonic and Street Fighter and all these other third parties.
I have now the ultimate idea. Let's make a stage based on an arcade.
Oh, now that would be really cool. And then have, like, Space Invaders and Bubble Bobble, and you go between the systems. Donkey Kong. Oh, that would be really, really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and Nintendo's had good relationships with them, and they continue to. So, and Taito, I think, is owned by Square Enix, if I'm not mistaken now, right? Yeah, so they could easily do that. I mean, they already put Cloud in. They might as well throw the Bubble Bobble Dragon in there and a Space Invaders level.
Man, now I really want that to happen. It was a throwaway answer, and now I feel...
I do kind of feel like at some point we're going to get a Space Invaders level in Smash Brothers. That seems like something that will eventually happen in the series.
I really hope so. That will be incredible.
Yeah, that seems like an inevitability.
Taito hasn't really updated their Twitter feed in 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
That's not good.
I'm not sure what's happening with that company.
I don't know. We'll find out.
But I feel sad because they make good games.
Maybe Nintendo is going to buy them from Square Enix and then...
if that would happen, I would lose my freaking mind. Or if they just... The ultimate dream, if then Nintendo would just buy all the Hudson properties.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Have Bomberman and Bonk and all of them. Oh, that'd be great.
Can you imagine Bonk in Smash Brothers?
But I don't want Bonk in Smash Brothers. I don't want him in Smash. Bonk is one of those characters, like, I love Sonic. You know, Sonic is great in Smash. You know, he's iconic. You don't need to put Bonk in there. I don't need another third-party platformer from that generation thrown in. I think it's fine. Put Bomberman in instead.
Put Alex Kidd in Smash Brothers. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Exactly.
Shit. Let's see.
Man, I want to play... Oh, man. You said the dragon from Puzzle Bobble, and now, like, I really, genuinely, really, really badly want to play Bust a Move 99. I need to find an emulator for that game, like, right now.
Oh, the evil terms of the emulator.
No, I own the game. I own the actual game on cartridge, okay. But I do. And so I would love to... Oh, man.
Okay. What creamer do you like in your... What creamer do you like in your coffee, and what are your hopes for E3 from Jacob Frederick?
Okay, that's easy. I like peppermint creamer in my coffee. I usually get peppermint creamer around the holidays, and they still have it in stores. So I really like peppermint creamer. And what are my expectations for E3 was the other question?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be 5 big titles for Switch. And my predictions for those are Pokemon Stars, Smash Brothers. I think we're going to see whatever Smash Brothers is at E3. I think that's a guarantee. I think we're going to see Rabbids for sure. I think Rabbids Kingdom Battle, it's just there's too many people talking about it, and Michelle Ansel keeps like... I
100% believe that Rabbids Kingdom Battle exists, and it's likely coming at E3.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that'll definitely be at E3. And then the other 2, I think, are also pretty obvious. I think Pikmin is pretty much a lock. We've heard about Pikmin 4 for a very long time now. I don't think the Pikmin 4 that Miyamoto was referring to is the one on 3DS. I think it's a new Pikmin game.
Yeah.
So I think we might see that. And then I think the big surprise, if I have to make like another surprise game they might have there, is I think we're going to see Retro's game. And I am going to say, and I'm going to make the prediction now, that I think Retro's game is a Metroid game, but it's not Metroid Prime. I think Retro is making a 2D Metroid game. And I think they're using all the tools that they used to make the Donkey Kong games, and they're going to use their expertise from creating the Metroid Prime games, and they're going to create a new 2D Metroid with a really beautiful HD art style. That, I think, is going to be the surprise thing. People have been asking about Metroid for a long time, and I think now's the time. I don't think Federation Force killed the franchise.
I'm going to crush your dreams by saying that Metroid is likely going to be developed by somebody else that's not called Retro Studios.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hey, if we still get Metroid, I don't really care then. If we still get Metroid, that's fine.
As far as for my hopes for E3, hopefully we get to see something of that Smash 4 port that has been rumored for a very long time.
Definitely.
You did mention that you would hope that they would make already in Smash 5.
So I want to clarify what I mean by that, because we talked about that with Josh. And when I say it's Smash 5, I don't mean that like it won't look a lot like Smash 4. Like, I think they're going to carry over a lot of stuff from Smash 4 completely. Like, I think there's like the levels, the roster, a lot of stuff I think they're going to take. But when I say Smash 5, I mean I think it's going to have a lot of new content that people like aren't expecting it to have. I think there's going to be a lot more new characters than one would expect. Like, I think a lot of people are going into this thinking, okay, we'll get like 4 or 5 new characters. I think it's going to be like 10 new characters. And I think there's going to be like a lot of levels, and I think there's going to be a lot of new stuff that's added. And I think it's going to be the Smash game for the Switch. I don't think they're going to make another one. I think it's going to be called Smash Brothers for Switch, and it's just going to become like a platform similar to Overwatch, where they keep making DLC and keep making levels throughout the course of the system's life cycle.
Okay. They did ask a whole bunch of people to make a Smash 6 because in Japan they consider Smash 4 for 3DS and Smash 5 for one for Wii U.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They did ask staffers for a Smash 6, so that there's likely something to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's... Ultimately, what I think about like a potential Smash board is that we might not see a whole bunch of characters, maybe 2 or 3. Maybe more. I really hope so. That would be great, but it's...
Yeah, if it is just a port, like, I agree with you, but I don't think it is just a port. Yeah.
We'll see. It's one of those things that is just so hard to call.
Yeah. It's just why else, like, it makes no sense that they wouldn't have shown that at the Switch presentation, knowing what a big deal Smash is. If it was just a port, they could have easily just shown Smash 4 footage and been like, oh, and by the way, we're porting this game to the Switch. And that would have gotten a lot of people excited right off the bat. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, this is Nintendo. They could drop it at any moment on us.
That's true. That's true. Tomorrow we might wake up and have a Smash trailer.
Just like the Virtual Console, which you still don't know nothing about.
I think we'll know about that within the next 2 weeks, though.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think February 15th. I'm calling it now. I think we're getting a mini direct on the 15th.
If we don't know Virtual Console by then, I'm thinking it's going to be a Wii U situation where we don't hear it before launch.
Well, I do think that it's going to have to be out by the first month, because they already talked about those free games when you play online.
Oh yeah, for the trial period.
Yeah, so it's going to have to exist at launch.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have huge hopes right now, but that could change at any moment where they drop an announcement on us.
Sure.
What is your first gaming memory by Jack Sweeney?
Playing Tails Music Maker on Sega Pico.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's obscure.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that is very obscure. I like that.
That was
like
my
that
first
answer.
ever system, though. That was my first ever system with Sega Pico. And the first games I had were Tails Music Maker and Richard Scarry's, like, whatever it was called. Richard Scarry, like, Happy World or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, what was the name of that game? I'm going to look it up right now. Richard Scarry, Sega Pico. Let's see. Richard Scarry's Huckle and Lowly's Busiest Day Ever. That was the name of the game.
That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful, yeah. Huckle and Lowly's Busiest Day Ever for Sega Pico. Yep. Oh, man, I'm looking at... Oh, nostalgia. I'm looking at this book right now, and I'm looking at, like, the different screenshots of the game. Oh, my goodness. I remember spending hours on this when I was a kid. Oh, the gingerbread man. Oh, man. Oh, I love my Sega Pico, honestly. My Sega Pico was bomb.
Wow. Well, for me, it was a less interesting first experience. My first experience was with the North American version of Super Mario Bros. 2.
Well, that's still pretty cool, though.
Yeah. My dad used to love that game. It's the only game he's actually still good at.
Yo, but Mickey's Blast of the Past on Sega Pico, though?
But yeah, he used to play that game all the way through all the time. And the funny part is, in this part of the country where I live, it's usually a custom to give your kid a gift that they will use in the future. My gift was that Nintendo Entertainment System.
Neat. Very neat.
And then my dad abused that and took it out of the box and played with it.
Oh no!
And he played Super Mario Bros. 2 a lot.
Oh no!
But he learned me at 2 years old how to play Super Mario Bros. 2.
That's pretty cool, though.
And that was my ever first gaming experience.
Very cool.
We had a whole bunch of third-party joysticks with it too, which are really weird.
Yeah, I remember growing up and getting a lot of those weird third-party peripheral controllers for the Nintendo 64, which was my first ever, like, actual real console, like, after the Sega Pico. And I had, like, those weird special Mad Catz controllers. I remember, like, always wanting to use the actual real gray and purple controller that came with the system and never wanting to use, like, the Mad Catz ones and giving them to my friends when they came over.
Ha, that's cute.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Let's see. We already touched on this game, but this guy sent a late-term question. He asks, who do you want in your 4-man Fire Emblem Heroes team?
Camilla, Donald, Roy, and Ophelia.
Okay. For me, it is Lynn.
Cool.
Lynn I definitely want to have. I already have Takumi, so I'm good there.
Cool.
I already also got another one that I really wanted, which I always forget her name. Hold up. Sheena, I don't remember which game she's from, but she was always the coolest character when I looked at all the Fire Emblem games, because she used to be in this huge armor. It was really cool to look at. And then my fourth character would be... Well, the fourth character I didn't really have given a lot of thought. Honestly, I would love to have Lucina in my party.
Oh yeah, Lucina would be cool.
But I had no luck so far with the luck of the draw. So hopefully at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's all the questions too.
Man, we had a lot of questions this week.
Yeah, this week was a crazy amount of questions.
Yeah, I feel like we pretty much covered everything. I did not expect when I came on here today that we were ever going to talk about Bust a Move 99 or Sega Pico, and yet we talked about both.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Man. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up then. If there's nothing else you really want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is anything else. I mean, the next month is going to be exciting, just with all the Switch lineup stuff and with the launch, and so I think we're in for a really good month. I guess my question is for you is:
sure.
Do you think we're going to get another mini direct? And we talked about this a little bit, but do you think we're going to get one like before the launch of the system, because Nintendo's already said that like we need to know more about the online infrastructure and the way lobbies work, and like the Splatoon account just a couple days ago revealed like how lobbies and voice chat work for that game. So I'm curious as to like if we're actually going to get that revealed for all audiences in some type of like mini direct in mid-February. And if that's the case, when do you think it's going to happen, and what do you expect to be announced during that mini direct?
If there's going to be a mini direct, then I would suggest that at least we'll get one game announcement. Some stuff about the UI and Virtual Console.
You think we're going to get a game announcement during a mini direct?
Yeah.
Wow. What? That's kind of bold. Any thoughts on what that game might be?
No, I really have no idea. It's. I think that there will be one game more during this summer next to Splatoon 2.
You know what I can maybe kind of see, actually, because this is one of the earlier rumors, and considering that Xenoblade 2 is coming to the system, I could maybe see them porting over Xenoblade X.
That's, yeah.
It'd be weird to have two Xenoblade games in the course of 1 year, though. But I could see them doing it.
Do you really think that Xenoblade 2 is going to release this year?
No.
In Europe and North America?
No. But I mean, in terms of like the span of a year, I think it's a 2018 game. Despite what they're saying, but I think it's going to be like an early 2018 game. I think it's going to be like spring 2018.
We'll see.
It looks pretty. I mean, that looks much farther in development than X did when we first saw X for the first time.
For sure.
Like way farther in development.
Yeah, we'll see. So I think we'll get a game announcement, some Virtual Console stuff, some UI stuff, and just trying to hype up some games, so we might see a few more mini games from 1 to Switch, or we get some more additional Zelda details, and that would likely be the lot.
I definitely think if we're going to get more mini games from 1 to Switch, one of them will probably be that Magic Wand one we saw in that Super Bowl trailer.
And the actual date announcement for Snipper Clips.
Oh, right. I think that's probably going to be launched, don't you think?
They have been kind of sketchy about it, and I really hope it's launched, but they have been really... They have not straight up said anything about that release date.
Yeah, but I do think it's going to be launched. That's my prediction.
That would be really cool. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. Thinking about that, is there... Okay, so are there games that aren't announced for Switch that you would really want to see?
I mean, beyond the ones we talked about for the E3 predictions, not really. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're doing with new IPs. I'm excited to see what classic franchises they're bringing back. I mean, I'd love something like a Wave Race. Like, I think that's the only real thing we're missing. And we kind of have, like, an arcade racer in the form of Mario Kart, but I'm looking at Mario Kart more from, like, the perspective of battle mode, and, like, that Mario Kart's almost a genre in and of itself. I think in terms of, like, an arcade racer akin to, the Cruisin' games or Wave Race or F-Zero, I still feel like we kind of need something like that. So maybe something in one of those franchises or a new franchise.
I'm still. You already know what my gonna answer. What my answer is gonna be. A couple of days ago I went back to a whole bunch of WiiWare games, and I want so badly. And I know in my heart it's not gonna happen because Skip is apparently pretty much dead. But I want more art-style games. We actually just talked about this on Twitter. Yeah, we just talked about this. I think having Light Tracks, having Pictobits, those would both be great fits, I feel, for the Switch. And maybe some type of like... classic ones. Even like Orbital would be good to have on the go. Yeah. Aquia, yeah, I think it'd be cool to have like an art-style collection, compilation kind of thing revealed on the Switch. That'd be really neat. I'd play that. I'd buy it. I would instantly give them all of my money. I would just put the credit card on the table, say, here you go. Do whatever you want with it. Yeah. Just give me those games. I guess the big franchise that we haven't touched on that I do really want on Switch, but I just don't know when they're going to release it, but it is the one big outstanding franchise where I'm like, okay, come on. Like, in fact, I want this more even than I want another Metroid, which is kind of blasphemy considering Super Metroid's my favorite game of all time. So to say I want a new iteration in this franchise before that is saying something. I want Animal Crossing, man. I mean, I want another Animal Crossing game. I want like a new online-focused home console Animal Crossing. And I want it sooner rather than later. I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. We haven't heard anything about Animal Crossing, and there wasn't one on Wii U. That's for sure.
And they delayed the mobile game too. The mobile game is no longer coming this fiscal year. So
yeah, I heard internally there was some really bad stuff going on with that game.
Yeah.
So they needed more time. It needed more time in the oven for sure.
Was I talking to you about that, or I was?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, I was like, I know stuff about that game, and I'm like, who told me? And I was like, all right, you did.
yeah, we definitely talked about that game.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that game needed more time in the oven apparently, so it's gonna go back into the development cycle. Yeah. So hopefully we'll hear about that in the next physical year. Mm-hmm. But as like a real Animal Crossing game is concerned, I kind of feel that we need one right about now, because the Wii U didn't have one, and it feels like a very long time since New Leaf now, which came out in 2012 in Japan. So it's coming close to 5 years now since the last real Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, it's kind of upsetting to me.
It's upsetting that game on Wii U exists.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not even going to say. I'm not going to say its name because I still feel better about the end result of that battle I had a very long time ago. And after that, I never touched that game, and I'm being real here, ever again.
Yeah. Nor do I think you ever would need to. Yeah.
Well, that's... You know what? That's very true. I agree with that.
Yeah. You never need to play that game ever again. In fact, I'm putting my Wii U in the closet the second the Switch comes out, so there you go. It's getting packed up and put away.
But how am I going to play Splatoon until it comes out? Splatoon 2 comes
out
in the summer?
That's true. You know what I might do? And actually, now I'm thinking about it, I do have Muscle March in Wii mode on my Wii U, and I don't want to put that away. I like having Muscle March. It's a good party game. So, yeah, I guess my Wii U has been saved due to Muscle March.
Let's all tweet at Bandai Namco Entertainment.
Muscle March 2 on Switch, please.
No, we need to do it like how they did it with EA. Hashtag Muscle March 2.
Nice. Muscle March 2. Let's do it.
Let's all hashtag the shit out of Muscle March 2.
Send it to Bandai Namco.
And if you want to be really special, you put that one song in that's the one catchy song. Da 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 da.
Oh yeah.
Da 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 da. Na 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 na. That song. In fact, we'll put it at the end of this episode. What
there you
about
go.
That?
Yeah. Put it in at the end.
But that's gonna wrap it up. The time is almost running out.
All right.
And I made a commitment to not make them longer than 1.5 hours. So I'm gonna say, first of all, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a really nice conversation.
Yeah, absolutely has been. It's been a pleasure anytime.
Do you have anything that you want to plug?
Just my YouTube. You can find me on YouTube at RogersBase. I do anime reviews and Nintendo videos. You can find me on Twitter at RogersBase. You can find me on Instagram at RogersBase. And you can find me on Twitch as RogersBase. So you can pretty much find me as RogersBase anywhere. I like playing games and talking anime. And Daan, it has been a lot of fun. And now I want to go play some Muscle March and some Sega Pico and Bust a Move 99.
That seems like a nice collection of games.
Absolutely.
And also Fire Emblem Heroes, but you still can't play it yet.
Well, I still can't play it, yeah. Unfortunately, it's out of the store yet, so.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's edition of Coffee Talk. As usual, next week there's no episode because this is on a 2-week schedule. But keep in mind that once we come back, there are only 2 weeks left until Switch.
Woohoo!
And that is when shit starts really hitting the fan. See you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
君を追うこの胸の高鳴りをこの切れた大腿筋に託し走るあの日感じた潮騒を胸に君に届けこの想い上腕に乗せ くた